So, what are your thoughts on romance? What part should it play in the life of a single person? Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. And welcome back for another week of the Thrive Singles Podcast. If you're new here, welcome aboard. I'm so glad to have you here with us. I hope you stick around, become part of us, subscribe, leave some comments. You know, there exists a dichotomy. The chasm betwixt the two sides of it grows wider and wider as time passes. On the one hand, some people completely give up on romance. On the other hand, some people use it as their drug of choice. And I'm not sure which is worse, trudging through life jaded and romanceless, or skipping along starry-eyed and breathless and always desperately seeking that next dopamine hit. If you're single, what's the proper role of romance? The problem is that most people get their ideas about romance from works of fiction. Be it a New York Times bestseller or a hot new Hollywood rom-com, it sets our minds abuzz with the anticipation or dread that the next season will be blessed, or cursed, depending on which side of the divide you make your stand, with a new opportunity for romance. And a quick side note here. This is especially the case around Christmas and Valentine's Day. It seems those holidays in particular are largely driven by romanticism. And as a side note, in case you haven't figured it out yet, Valentine's Day is not nearly as much about love as it is about romance. And as a side note, of course, it's also about selling lots of chocolate greeting cards, movie tickets, books, flowers, lingerie, and jewelry. Romance is very profitable. So be aware that a lot of the romance you feel in the air is carefully crafted by manipulative advertisers specifically to separate you from your hard-earned money. But anyway, back to the episode. In most books and movies, it seems that love is driven by romance. If two people get thrust into the right circumstances and romance situations, nature will take its course and they'll fall in love and live happily ever after. That's pure fiction. Well, actually, in the right circumstances, yeah, any two people will start having feelings for each other. The problem is that circumstances change. Marriages never exist from just one romantic moment to the next. There's always lots of dull, challenging, irritating, tedious, ordinary, real life, filled with cooking, washing dishes, vacuuming floors, working, lawn mowing, putting out garbage, head colds, shaving, and flatulence. All that happens between those occasional romantic moments. You know, all the stuff they conveniently leave out of Hallmark Channel movies and jewelry ads. But perhaps the biggest problem with romance is when it comes to dating. People have this wrong-headed idea that dating should always be romantic. I would suggest to you that the majority of your dating should be non-romantic. If you were dating just to get affection and get sex, I could understand going for romance. It leads to those things. But is that what you're after? Is that why you're dating? Or are you dating, as I suggest, just to have fun and to get to know yourself and to get to know people you might be interested in marrying? If that's your goal, and I believe it should be, romance is not the way to get there. In fact, introducing romance into dating makes it more likely you'll end up having sex before you intend to, and less likely to end up happily married to a suitable spouse. That's because romance clouds your judgment. It impairs your ability to get to know what somebody is really like in real life and know if they're the kind of person you're looking for. Let me tell you about two of my very favorite dates. The first one I devoted an entire podcast episode to. You should go back and check that out. I'll give you the abbreviated version here. I wanted to share a great hiking trail with Anita. The problem is that since the last time I'd hiked it, a hurricane had come through. So we spent the whole hike I found a stick on the trail, and we spent the whole hike hacking our way through increasingly tall, thick grass, climbing over and ducking under falling trees, and avoiding what we later found out was bear droppings. The other great date was an adventure Anita cooked up as payback. No, I'm joking. It really wasn't that bad, but we did ride our bikes 40 miles, somehow into the wind the entire time. Even though our route was a circuit, it was circular, but every time we made a turn, we turned into the wind. And I'm not sure how that could be, but that's what happened. It was a nice ride. The weather was, except for the wind, perfect. But it could accurately be described as grueling. But those were great dates. We managed to have fun, learn about ourselves, and learn a lot about each other. So, if you want a great date, cancel those reservations at that fancy Italian restaurant, pack up some trail mix, lots of water, and your emergency kit, and head toward adventure. No, I'm joking again. I'm not suggesting you purposely subject your date to exhausting or dangerous activities to see how they react. What I am saying, though, is to maybe forego the overly romantic dates and opt for dates that are more conducive to learning something about yourself and the person you're with. Hopefully while doing something a little more enjoyable than the 2 dates I just described. So, till next week, try not to get too wrapped up in the romance of the season. If you're single, nothing good comes from entertaining those overly romantic thoughts. And be forewarned, they will come at you from every angle and from multiple sources. But don't let them get to you. And remember, if now's not your time, that's okay. Your time will come. Save the romance for the right person at the right point in the relationship. As hard as it is to avoid it while you're single, it'll be just as much of a challenge to keep the romance alive when you're married. So, as always, till next time, thrive on. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta thrive. There's more to life than to just survive.